Let's talk about investing in property and working smarter, not harder. Now, for me in my property portfolio, and me and my wife have an 11 property portfolio, a lot of the biggest hacks, a lot of the biggest growth, a lot of the best things in our property portfolio have come from working smarter, not harder. And that really comes down to research and experience. Now, for example, the way we started investing in property was when we bought property, we bought places that we thought were nice to live in. We moved into these homes and then we renovated them. We renovated these homes. We did that 2 times in the space of about a year. And we found after all the hard work, time and effort spent on renovating the homes, the actual renovation didn't really do much in terms of capital growth. Like it honestly, the growth we saw from renovating our homes, quite literally, the money we spent on the renovation, almost that's all the growth we saw from the properties, which is ridiculous because, spending 10 or 20 grand on a renovation and only seeing 20 grand growth, that's ridiculous. Like, it was extremely difficult, extremely hard to do renovations as well. Like, it was time consuming. We had to, I had to do them after work, it was a nightmare. But luckily I learned from that experience, and I figured out most of the time the biggest growth you'll get from your property is not from doing renovations. You don't have to touch the property to get growth. All you have to do is understand how the markets work, and the reality is the markets do most of the work. So it's about at that point it didn't become about buying properties that I thought looked nice. It wasn't about buying properties and increasing the value through renovations at that point. It was, after I learned that, it was more about buying properties that were primed for growth. They were in growth areas. They had good fundamentals showing that they were going to have large spurts of capital growth. Now, I couldn't think how hard it would be to do a renovation on a property that would give you like an uplift of say $100,000. It's an extreme amount of work to do a renovation on a property that's going to make it valued $100,000 higher. But the reality is, all you have to do to get $100,000 growth in your property, if you're working smarter, not harder, is understand how finance works. One bank could literally just value a property $100,000 higher than another. Like, that's the facts. Like, you could go to one bank, you could go to Commonwealth Bank, and they could say, hey, this property is worth 500K, and you're like, that's great, that's exactly what I paid for it. Doesn't sound too great to me. I've owned this property for a year now, it should have had some growth. And then you could go to another bank, get another evaluation, and they could very well say, yep, this property is worth $600,000, 100K growth, just like that. You didn't do anything. Nothing changed. You didn't do a renovation. You just have to understand that investing in property is a finance game. Getting access to equity is more about finance. Educate yourself on finance. How does finance work? How can you do things that will favor a better financial outcome, right? So as soon as I understood that, I haven't picked up a tool. I have never tried to renovate a property ever again. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, when I can just buy the right property and let the market do the heavy lifting, grow my wealth that way, then that's what I'm going to do. Now, it's pretty much all I wanted to say today. Hopefully this helped you guys if you're thinking about getting into investing, and just chuck us a like, subscribe if this video helped. Bye.